What happens to food in our body? The food we eat is made up of large insoluble molecules like carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. For our body to use them, they must be broken down into smaller molecules, transforming food into nutrients. Digestion is the process that converts food into usable nutrients. These nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream and used by the body for energy and essential functions. How does digestion begin? Digestion starts in the mouth with saliva, which helps break down sugars. Then, proteins and carbohydrates are processed in the stomach, while lipids are mainly digested in the small intestine with the help of bile. Visual summary: digestive process overview. First, mouth. Second, stomach. Third one, small intestine. And fourth one, absorption.
Digestions begin long before you even put food in your mouth. By looking at a good taco or even just thinking about it, you immediately start producing more saliva, which is already a digestive process. Into a gastritic cancer. Gastritis is an inflammation that occurs in the mucus that acts as the gastritic lining and organizes when his pH of the stomach organ becomes unbalanced, leading the acidic condition. Gastritis causes stomach pain, reflux, indigestion. Its symptoms are burning in the esophagus, nauseous, vomiting, and a feeling of emptiness in the stomach. Gastritis reflux. Gastroesophageal reflux is a very uncomfortable condition, which in the most cases only requires a change of diet. Gastric reflux is common in babies because their esophageal muscle is not fully developed, and this constantly causes milk to flow back up after swallowing.
Digestive system organs. First group, a large muscular tube processes food as it passes through the body. This tube begins at the mouth and ends at the anus, with widening in between that is the stomach passing through the small and large intestines. Along this tube, the food is transformed into a kind of mush from which nutrients can be easily absorbed. Digestive system organs, second group. In the second group, there are the auxiliary organs, which are the teeth, salivary glands, liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. Digestive process. There are two types of digestive process. First one, mechanical digestion, involves the action of breaking down food into smaller parts through the process of chewing and grinding. It occurs mainly in the mouth, but includes the churning of food in the stomach. Okay. Second one is chemical digestion. Involves the breakdown of larger molecules that comprise food, such as carbs, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids, by the action of digestive enzymes found in saliva, gastric juices, intestinal secretion, and bile. Auxiliary organs. The auxiliary organs are the mouth, the tongue, the pharynx, the epiglottis, the esophagus, the liver, the gallbladder, the stomach, the large intestine, the pancreas, the small intestine, the appendix, and the anus.
Small intestine. The small intestine is the longest part of the intestinal tract, measuring about 7 meters long and only 2 centimeters wide. That is very functional. This leg gives it a large area to perform its functions, break down food, and absorb nutrients into the blood. 90% of nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine, the rest in the stomach and the large intestine. This is the end of chemical digestion. Through this digestive process, nutrients reach the bloodstream and all body cells. All the food not digested or absorbed will pass through the large intestine for disposal. Organs of small intestine like pancreas. The pancreas is a mixed gland because it has both endocrine and exocrine functions. Endocrine means that it releases substances inwards and will be explained in more detail in the section on the endocrine system. The pancreas also exocrine function, and it's precisely this function involved in the digestive system. The pancreas produces approximately 1.5 liters of pancreatic juice, which is poured into the small intestine and is actively involved in the digestion of food and changing the pH of the time. Pancreatic juice is composed mainly of water, salt, sodium bicarbonate, and pancreatic enzymes, including lipases that act on lipids by breaking bonds and generating easily absorbable or modifiable subunits. Also, more organs of small intestine. We have liver and gallbladder. Basically, the liver and gallbladder work in coordination with the pancreas in digestive process. The function of the liver cells secrete approximately 1 liter of bile per day, a greenish yellow liquid that emulsifies fats, breaks them down into tiny fat droplets, allowing the pancreatic enzymes lipase to break down the lipid molecules more quickly. The gallbladders function is to store and concentrate the bile that the small intestine do not need for its food breakdown function. Coming back to the three auxiliary organs, we have the large intestine. The leftover from the digestive progress flows into and through the large intestine, a tube about 6 centimeters thick and 1 meter long. The large intestine begins in a pouch called the caecum, which receives chyme from the small intestine. This organ also secretes a large amount of mucus that protects it from injury and gives a compact shape to the faces. From the cecum projects a small finger-like pouch called the appendix that has no digestive function. However, it has lymphoid tissue containing lymphocytes that attack harmful bacteria that may be present in the food.
The digestive system auxiliary organs. First group, mouth, tongue, pharynx, epiglottis, oesophagus, liver, stomach, gallbladder, pancreas, large intestine, small intestine, appendix, rectum, anus. True or false? The large intestine, also known as the colon, is the final section of the digestive tract. Its main function to absorb water and electrolytes from the remaining indigestible food matter, forming solid waste, feces, which is then excreted from the body. True or false? True or false? Second question. Saliva contains bile, which begins the chemical breakdown of carbohydrates, starches in the mouth. This is the first step in the digestive system, preparing carbohydrates for further digestion and absorption in the small intestine. True or false? True or false? Question 3. The liver is a vital organ in the gastrointestinal tract that performs many functions, including detoxification, protein synthesis, and the production of biochemicals necessary for digestion, such as bile. True or false? Structure and functions. Mouth. The digestion begins when the food enters the mouth, where mechanical digestion and chemical digestion occur. Mechanical digestion is carried out by the teeth which cut, macerate, and grind the food. While this happens, the tongue moves the food from one side to the mouth to another at the same time. Saliva envelops it, causing the chemical digestion of carbohydrates to begin. Thanks to amylase or ptyalin, which partially digesting protein, lipids, vitamins, and minerals do not undergo any change in their chemical structure. As a result, a soft mass called a bolus is obtained, quickly passing into the stomach. Structure and function. Saliva. Humans produce between 1 and 1.5 liters of saliva per day. This liquid is a medium for dissolving food. According to its composition, saliva comprises 99.5% water and 0.5% solutes, including sodium, chloride, and potassium ions, some dissolved gases, and salivary enzymes. The latter is a small part in charge of molecular breakdown in foods to degrade them into smaller subunits. The main enzyme used for food degradation in the mouth is the salivary amylase enzyme. Its function is to break chemical bonds to obtain smaller molecules. For example, the starch in corn is a giant molecule made of smaller molecules like a set of Lego blocks. Pharynx. The pharynx is a large muscle behind your nose and mouth. It is the first thing doctors see when you get a sore throat and they examine your mouth with a tongue pressure. The pharynx is so extensive that it runs from your nose to your throat, and it communicates with the respiratory and digestive system. In other words, it is one tube with two outlets. When you inhale air through your nose or mouth, it passes through your pharynx, and from there it goes to your lungs. On the other hand, food also passes through the pharynx, but here it goes to the stomach. Otherwise, we could choke to death. To avoid this, in cartilage at the level of the throat called epiglottis works like a valve that closes when food passes through and opens when air passes through. Eating and talking simultaneously is very dangerous. Oesophagus and stomach. Oesophagus is formed by a small muscle and have tube-shaped form no longer than 25 centimeters. Internally lined with mucus that lubricates the food, and its function is to transport the food bolus from the throat to the stomach, like a snake devouring its victim. The oesophagus contracts involuntarily, forming waves that allow food to be pushed through it. This is known as a peristaltic movement. Stomach. The stomach is the most expensive region of our digestive tract, a short bagpipe-shaped pouch capable of comfortably storing a liter of food, like most of the parts that make up our digestive tract. The stomach is a muscular organ internally coated by a mucous membrane.
Four essential functions. First, the essential function of the digestive system: storage. The stomach acts like a storage tank for the food you eat. It can stretch to hold large meals and keep the food until your body is ready to digest it further. Instead of sending everything to the small intestine at once, the stomach releases food little by little. This helps the small intestine break it down properly and absorbs nutrients. Second, essential functions: mechanical digestion. The stomach uses its strong muscles to squeeze and churn food around. This movement, called peristaltis, mixes the food with digestive juices. It turns the food into a thick liquid called chyme, making it easier to digest. This physical process breaks large pieces of food into smaller bits that are easier for the body to handle. Essential function: chemical digestion. Besides physically breaking down food, the stomach uses chemical to help with digestion. It releases digestive juices, including hydrochloric acid and enzyme called pepsin. These break down proteins into smaller pieces. The acid also helps create the right environment for enzymes to work effectively. This is the last essential function: protection. The stomach also acts as a shield, protecting your body from harmful germs. The strong acid it produces kills most bacteria and viruses that come with your food. At the same time, a thick layer of mucus lines the stomach walls to protect them from the acid, preventing damage and irritation.